Hi, and welcome to this video tutorial on how to stretch canvas. For this tutorial, we'll be stretching canvas over a panel that was made in a previous video. I will include a list of materials that you'll need for this in the description of the video. To get started, I just want to make sure I have enough canvas to stretch that's going to go over the edge by about an inch or so. Then I'm going to start with one of the short sides here, just putting a couple of staples in place so that I have something to pull against. Using my canvas stretching pliers, which you can get at any art supply store, I'm going to go ahead and set up and pull the canvas across the long axis here, making sure that I take out all the slack plus a little bit more. If you stretch too much, you can tear the canvas. If you don't stretch enough, you're going to have too much slack left. It's really important as you're doing this that you do this in a methodical fashion and that you continue to work not only across the canvas but at a diagonal pattern towards the corners. This will prevent pleating. Now that I've done the short sides, I'm going to do the long sides, and it's just going to be the same process again. A few staples and then pulling with the stretching pliers on the other side. You'll periodically see me tug on the corner like that in a diagonal pattern. That is just to prevent that pleating from occurring. If you do get some pleating, you'll have to go backwards in the process, pulling out some excess staples and starting over. Don't get too discouraged if this happens, as it does happen from time to time. With experience, you'll learn to avoid it. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish one side of the panel with staples. In this case, it's the long side. Taking the staples all the way to the very edge, and that'll take me into my miter. Mitering the corners is probably the most technically difficult thing to do in here, but it's really important to just pay attention to what's happening. You need to have enough excess to be able to work with, and I'm going to start by pulling that little bit off of the corner at a 45-degree angle and then folding the side up. And the idea here is I want it to go straight up the side. Now I could sit here and try to explain to you exactly what's happening, but your best bet is to just practice. The more you do this, the easier it will get. If you need to stop the video, try it, rewind the video, then that's probably not a bad idea. For me personally, it probably took me at least a dozen tries to get to where I could do it consistently the same way each time. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of it. My air hose actually broke in the previous segment here, so now I'm switching to an electric stapler. You can also use a spring-loaded stapler, which is totally fine. Just make sure that they use the T50 arrows. And now we're on to gessoing. This is a really important part of this process, but it's also probably the easiest to do. I'm going to be using a spray bottle with water, a 4-inch brush, and some watered down gesso to get started. I always make sure that the surface is free of debris, and in particular the little strings from the canvas. I'm just going to dampen the surface with the spray bottle, and I'm going to dampen the brush. I highly recommend your first coat of gesso is watered down. This will actually help stretch the canvas just a little bit. It will shrink like denim in the dryer. And what that's going to do is it's going to take that last little bit of slackness in your canvas out. If you do this too thick on the first coat, you're really not doing much more than just painting on the surface. So I'm just spreading the gesso out here evenly, making sure that I get all of the little bare spots covered. This is both not only going to make the paint stick to the canvas better, but it's also going to prevent the canvas from rotting, which canvas will over time rot. So that's why I'm also gessoing the sides of the canvas. I don't actually paint the sides of my canvas, but I don't want the canvas to rot and tear there on the sides. You can do as many coats as you want. Each coat, sand in between each of them. And the more coats, the smoother the surface.